The Great Rebellion of 1857. In 1857, British rule witnessed the biggest challenge to its existence. Initially, it began as mutiny of Bengal Presidency Sepoys, but later expanded to the other parts of India, involving a large number of civilians, especially peasants. The events of 1857 to 58 are significant for the following reasons. First one, this was the first major revolt of armed forces accompanied by civilian rebellion. Second reason, the revolt witnessed unprecedented violence perpetrated by both sides. Third reason, the revolt ended the role of the East India Company and the governance of the Indian subcontinent was taken over by the British Crown. First, we will see the causes of the Great Rebellion of 1857. First one, annexation of policy of British India. In the 1840s and 1850s, more territories were annexed through two major policies. In that, first one, the doctrine of paramountcy. The British claimed themselves as a paramount, exercising supreme authority. New territories were annexed on the grounds that the native rulers were inept. Next one, the doctrine of lapse. If a native ruler did not have male heir to the throne, the territory was to lapse into the British India upon the death of the ruler. Satara, Sambalpur, parts of the Punjab, Jhansi and Nagpur were annexed by the British through the doctrine of lapse. Second cause, insensitivity to Indian cultural sentiments. In 1806, the Sepoys at Vellore mutinied against the new dress code, which prohibited Indians from wearing religious marks on their foreheads and having whiskers on their chin. While proposing to replace their turbans with a round hat, it was feared that the dress code was part of their effort to convert soldiers to Christianity. Similarly, in 1824, the Sepoys at Barakpur, near Calcutta, refused to go to Burma by sea, since crossing the sea meant the loss of their caste. The Sepoys were also upset with the discrimination in salary and promotion. Indian Sepoys were paid much less than their European counterparts. They felt humiliated and racially abused by their seniors. The revolt. The precursor to the revolt was the circulation of the rumors about the cartridges of the new Enfield rifle. There was strong suspicion that the new cartridges had been greased with cow and pig fat. The cartridge had to be bitten off before loading. On 29th March, a Sepoy named Mangal Pandey assaulted his European officer. His fellow soldiers refused to arrest him when ordered to do so. Mangal Pandey, along with the others, were court-martialed and hanged. This only fueled the anger, and in the following days, there were increased incidents of disobedience. Burning and arson were reported from the army cantonments in Ambala, Lucknow, and Meerut. Bahadur Shah proclaimed as Emperor of Hindustan. On 11th May 1857, a band of Sepoys from Meerut marched to the Red Fort in Delhi. The Sepoys were followed by an equally exuberant crowd who gathered to ask Mangal Pandey, Emperor Bahadur Shah II, to become their leader. After much hesitation, he accepted the offer and was proclaimed as the Shahanshah-e Hindustan. Soon the rebels captured the northwestern province and Awadh. As the news of the fall of Delhi reached the Ganges Valley, cantonment after cantonment mutinied till by the beginning of June. British rule in North India except in Punjab and Bengal, had disappeared. Prominent fighters against the British. The mutiny provided a platform to aggrieved kings, nawabs, queens, and zamindars to express the anti-British anger. Nana Sahib, the adopted son of the last Peshwa Baji Rao too, provided leadership in his Kanpur region. He had been denied pension by the company. Similarly, Begum Hazrat Mahal in Lucknow and Khan Bahadur in Bareilly took the command of their respective territories, which were once ruled either by them or by their ancestors. Another such significant leader was Rani Lakshmi Bai, who assumed the leadership in Jhansi. In her case, Dalhousie, the Governor General of Bengal, had refused her request to adopt a son as her successor after her husband died and the kingdom was annexed under the doctrine of lapse. Rani Lakshmi Bai battled the mighty British army until she was defeated. Bahadur Shah, Jafar, Kunwar Singh, Khan Bahadur, Rani Lakshmi Bai, and many others were rebels against their will, compelled by the bravery of the Sepoys who had defied the British authority. Suppression of rebellion. By the beginning of June 1857, the Delhi, Meerut, Rohilkhand, Agra, Allahabad, and Banaras divisions of the army had been restored to British control and placed under martial law. Causes of failure. There is hardly any evidence to prove that the rebellion of 1857 was organized and planned. It was spontaneous. However, soon after the siege of Delhi, there was an attempt to seek the support of the neighboring states. Besides a few Indian states, there was a general lack of enthusiasm among the Indian princes to participate in the rebellion. The Indian princes and the zamindars either remained loyal or were fearful of British power. Those involved in the rebellion were left with either little or no source of arms and ammunition. The emerging English educated middle class too did not support the rebellion. One of the important reasons for the failure of the rebellion was the absence of the central authority. There was no common agenda that united the individuals and the aspirants of the Indian princes and the various other feudal elements fighting against the British. In the end, the rebellion was brutally suppressed by the British army. The rebel leaders were defeated due to the lack of weapons, organization, discipline, and betrayal by their aides. Delhi was captured by the British troops in late 1857. Bahadur Shah was captured and transported to Burma. India becomes a crown colony. The British Parliament adopted the Indian Government Act in November 1858, and India was pronounced as one of the many crown colonies to be directly governed by the Parliament. The responsibility was given to a member of the cabinet designated as the Secretary of the State for India. The changes in the administration. British rule and its policies underwent a major overhaul after 1857. The British followed a cautious approach to the issue of the social reform. Queen Victoria proclaimed to the Indian people that the British would not interfere in the traditional institutions and religious matters. It was promised that the Indians would be absorbed in governmental services. Two significant changes were made in the structure of the Indian army. The number of the Indians was significantly reduced. Indians were restrained from holding important ranks and positions. The British took control of the artillery and shifted their recruiting effort to regions and communities that remained loyal during 1857. For instance, the British turned away from Rajputs, Brahmins, and North Indian Muslims and looked towards non-Hindu groups like the Gurkhas, Sikhs, and Pathans. British also exploited the caste, religious, linguistic, and regional differences in the Indian society through what came to be known as divide and rule policy. My dear students, we will see the rest of the lesson in part 3.